Alright, what's going on guys? Today I'm bringing to you this video that teaches you all you need to know about Flame Sakitama. And without further ado, here's my video, Flame Sakitama in 10 minutes. Before we learn about how to master playing a new character, you gotta study her skills. A lot of players make the mistake of jumping into battle straight away, thinking that it's better to learn playing the character by learning from experience. While this might work for a playstyle and combos, it doesn't help you at all in understanding the inherent buffs that a character has in a kit, and as a result, you're most likely not using her skills to their maximum potential. So, we're gonna start off by doing just that. Okay, as you can see on her main skill page, there are a whole bunch of nonsense. Okay, there are a lot of skills with straightforward effects, such as the leader skill and the ultimate evasion, so we will completely skip over those and dive straight into her core abilities, especially her combo attack. Okay, first we're gonna start off with her passive skills, because her passive contains buffs that build the foundation of all her other skills. So the first one we're gonna look at is Sorcery Blade, and there are two parts to this skill. The first one is basically your combo attacks builds up this thing called Zanshin in Sakitama's resource bar. The more the bar is filled, the more damage you're gonna dish out, and this includes both physical and elemental damage. Alright, that's the key point here, both physical and elemental damage. Okay, you can read through the description yourself, but essentially you're gonna reach the maximum damage increase of 68% when you have a total of 4 out of 5 resource bars filled up. And the second part to this skill is that you're gonna lose a set amount of 30 Zanshin every second when you have this character out on the field. So if you want to conserve what you have left in the resource bar, you're gonna have to switch her out so that her resource bar doesn't get depleted and you can bring her out later again when you need to. A second noteworthy passive is called Mid-Air Kill. Essentially, it lets you deal increased damage to enemies affected by time slow. So you can benefit from the damage increase by triggering Sakitama's ultimate evasions, using her switch skill regardless of whether QTE is triggered or her ultimate. Okay, next we are going over her first combo that is under her basic attack section. We're going to ignore all of the stuff on the right side because they are very straightforward, so we are going to focus on the left side of the screen. This first combo doesn't actually have a name, so from here on, I'm going to call it Zanshin combo for easier reference, and I'll explain why later when we get to a second combo. This Zanshin combo fills up your resource bar when you land any of the two final combo strikes on a target. Alright, you don't have to land both, you just have to land one of them. Okay, this combo is triggered by performing 4 basic attacks, after which you have to pause for a while before pressing the attack button another time when the flashing circle appears. I'm going to show you how to perform this, but first, we are going to go over her basic attack patterns, which there are 5 in total. I'm going to call each of these 5 attack patterns as sequences to avoid confusion later on. This is the first attack sequence, a very basic 1-hit slash. The second sequence, a 2-hit combo, and this is the third sequence, a 1-hit uppercut. The fourth sequence, an around the world 3-hit downward slash. And finally, the fifth sequence, a 1-hit back slash. And together, they complete this 8-hit basic attack combo chain. That's all for the basic combo. Alright, now for the Zanshin combo, you have to pause at the fourth sequence, which corresponds to the 7th strike of the basic attack combo chain. Now, some of you might have problems triggering this combo because the flashing circle doesn't show up at the end of your 4th sequence. This is because you are spamming the attack button too much, and as a result, the flashing circle does not appear at the end however long you wait for it to do so. In order to resolve this problem, you have to make a count of your attacks on screen. My advice and what I do myself, you can spam the attack button as you like during the first 3 sequences of the basic combo chain. But as you approach the 4th sequence, you have to stop spamming the button and just give it a single tap. Doing so will guarantee the appearance of the circle after the 4th sequence. Now, even with all this said and done, ultimately it comes down to practice makes perfect. With enough tries, you will get the hang of it eventually. Now that you know how to pull it off, you should get yourself familiarized with a few interesting things about the Zanshin combo that you can pull off. Because this combo doesn't get interrupted when you perform a dash in between any of the first 4 attack sequences, you can do cool stuff like this also. And if you want to aim for extra style points, you can pull off a nifty trick like this one too. That's all for the Zanshin combo. Next, we are going over to a secondary combo called Gale, which is relatively simpler. It's triggered by holding down the attack button anytime during the first 3 sequences, after which you pause and tap the attack button again when the flashing circle appears. As you can see on the screen, when enemies are hit by this combo, a mark appears above their heads. Being marked with this debuff makes them receive additional fire and lightning damage. So it's mainly a support combo that increases fire damage dealt by all other means on this character. This combo can also be used as the get closer, so that you can get close to enemies that are further away. Now remember earlier on when I mentioned that I'll name the first combo that I've showed you the Zanshin combo? Here's the reason for that. Gale combo doesn't actually fill up your resource bar, even though Sorcery Blade's description suggested that both will. Think of it as a mistranslation. Alright, that wraps up her second combo. Okay, finally, her ultimate, Double Firewall. There's a lot of text here and I'm not gonna bore you with numbers, but basically, you're gonna deal a crap ton of fire damage during your ult. And in order to get the most out of your ultimate, you're gonna have to fill up the resource bar by using the Zanshin combo, followed by Gale combo to increase the amount of fire damage received by your targets before finally using your ult. Alright, that's the ideal sequence of combo you want want to pull off here. If you use the out by itself as it is, you can see the huge difference in numbers. The damage is only a quarter of what you can potentially do. There are of course many other ways to augment your fire damage. For example, you can use time fracture such as Saint Kiana's ultimate or weapon active skills, but because they can't be pulled off as consistently, I'm going to leave it out for this video. Last but not least, we are going to talk about the various endgame equipment you should be using to bring out Sakitama's full potential, and some alternatives that you can use while you slowly work your way through the game. We're going to start off with the stigmata choices first. In the top position, we have Higoku Maru, and her first effect, which gives you a flat increase of 45% in fire damage, is really all the reason why you pick this stigmata out from the rest. Her second effect of summoning a Higoku Maru when a shield breaks is by no means the best, but you can't complain for having a nice bonus on top of what there already is. In the mid position, you're going to want to use none other than the Nuwa piece, simply because it reigns supreme as a top tier stigma for all fire elemental characters, no questions asked. With Sakitama also being a fast hitter, getting to 102 combo hits will be a breeze, and that's an easy 102% increase in fire damage from just one stigma piece alone. Finally, in the bot position, we have Higoku Maru again. Now I know that the effect of this piece isn't exactly the best, but this is overall the best possible piece you can get. The main purpose of having this piece is to activate the 2-set effect, which gives you a maximum increase of 40% in fire damage dealt when your combo hits get up to 40, which is convenient since it ties together with Nuwa mid piece perfectly. That being said, if you are able to fulfill certain conditions, then there will be much better options, which we will go over in just a second. Now for the honorable mentions. You could replace the top piece with Schrodinger, but there's a major drawback for going with this choice. Schrodinger top in general isn't viable on characters that are fast hitters, such as Mei or Teresa. It is after all a stigma piece that's tailored towards burst velts rather than DPS ones, and that's precisely why the only reason it's good on Miko or Memento is because of their branch attacks that gives them huge burst damage within a short period of time, and you can pull off those attacks rather consistently. But this is not the case for Sakitama, since she's considered a DPS velt because of how her kit works. The only time when Schrodinger will be phenomenal is during Sakitama's ultimate, which is all the burst Sakitama has, but it requires a hefty amount of 125 special points to pull off, and you're also playing with a 50-50 chance here, so it's not at all consistent when compared to Higoku Maru top. Shakespeare, Higoku Maru, and Mei Pu Party are 3 potential candidates for the mid piece. Shakespeare gives you a flat 51% increase in fire damage. It's half of what Nuwa mid has to offer, but it outshines Nuwa in stages where it's hard for you to maintain your combo hits. Nothing much to say here. It's just a great stick for all fire characters and is second only to Nuwa mid. Higoku Maru. Her individual effects aren't good at all due to it being a defense stigma. It's really just there to boost your fire damage by an additional 40% by activating the 3-set effect. So that's a total of 80% increase. But as you can see from the numbers, it isn't worth the trade-off if you're already using either Nuwa or Shakespeare. So that's that. Lastly, Mei Pu Party is a very classic go-to choice for all elemental characters. It increases your all damage dealt by a flat 18% and increases damage received by targets by 15% for 4 seconds with a cooldown time of 8 seconds. In total, that's a 35.7% increase in damage for 4 seconds with a 4-second downtime. But because of this downtime, it wouldn't work as well on Sakitama as it would otherwise. But it's nonetheless a more viable choice when compared to Schrodinger top. For the board piece contenders, we have Yua, Fusi, and Siegfried Kaslana. You don't really have a lot of viable choices for the board piece since the effects of which generally require one or more conditions to be fulfilled. Yua puts out a lot of competition for the board placing. Ignited enemies receiving an additional 103% fire damage while making the burn last 103% longer is huge. But here's the weird part. Although Sakitama is a fire elemental character, she doesn't have any inbuilt skills that ignite targets like Blood Rose for example. Meaning to say, for Nuwa bot to be of any use at all, you need a support character who can burn to back her up. This is literally an all or nothing stigma, but if not for the ignite condition, it would have easily replaced Higoku Maru no questions asked. Fusi is like the light version of Nuwa. It increases elemental damage dealt to ignited enemies by 51%. If you're using a burn team comp and you don't have Nuwa, Fusi bot is your second choice here. Lastly, Siegfried. Now it isn't a good choice by any means. It requires you to pop a weapon active skill for you to enjoy the 35% increase in all damage dealt for 6 seconds and is limited by a skill's cooldown time. An okay choice, but I wouldn't pick it over the other two that was mentioned. If you are someone who doesn't have a lot of luck in the gacha, the most viable early game 4-star set will be the Shigeru Kira set. The top piece increases all elemental damage by 15%, the bot piece increases all elemental damage by 20% for 5 seconds upon an ultimate evasion, the cooldown of which is reset upon another successful ultimate evasion, and the mid piece is really just there to trigger the 3-set effect which increases all damage by another 15%. This makes it up to a total of 55.25% increase in elemental damage. It's a very generic free-to-play set for all elemental characters. However, a better choice for the mid piece is Yodo Dono, which increases your fire damage dealt by 31%, increasing your total elemental damage dealt from 55.25% to 66%. I'm now gonna move on to our ideal choices of weapons. First up, your best bet is the Demon Blade. If Sakitama is using this weapon, enemies hit by the active skill will receive 25% more fire damage. Its passive also increases your fire damage dealt by a flat amount of 28%, which is a very nice boost. Together with its active skill, this blade alone increases your fire damage by 60%, which makes it the tier 1 weapon for Sakitama. The second go-to weapon of choice here is the Fairy Sword Sylvan, a very underrated weapon by many. For 20 seconds, the active skill gives you increased attack speed, movement speed by 20%, and all damage dealt by 10%. The passive also gives you an additional 30% movement speed, and every 10% increase in movement speed will grant you an additional 5% in all damage up to a cap of 50%. So essentially, you reap maximum benefits when you have 100% additional movement speed. With the active, this sword alone gives you 50% movement speed, and that's a 35% increase in all damage. 25% from the additional movement speed and 10% from the weapon active skill. To increase your movement speed even further, you can use stigmata such as, in decreasing order of priority, Ekaterina Bot, Yodo Bot, Bethroy Bot, Ogier Bot, Leah Mid, and Shen Nong Mid. Last but not least, Void Blade. The Void Blade active skill sets up a sphere around you where enemies in it will be affected by time slow for 6 seconds. Crit rate is also increased by 30% during this time. Remember the passive skill that grants you bonus all damage dealt to enemies affected by time slow? Yep, this active is perfect for that. However, the drawback is the passive skill, which grants you increased physical damage after using a certain number of SP, which really isn't relevant since Sakitama deals fire damage primarily during her ult. The only time when you will benefit from this is when Sakitama enters the burst state after her ult, but even then it won't be significant. That's all for the weapon section. Alright, that's about everything for Flame Sakitama in 10 minutes. But this is not the end of the video yet. If you are having troubles with Wendy's extreme difficulty stage, then stay on further as I share with you some quick tips and tricks that will guarantee you an easier run when facing her. Are you still here? Great, let's get started. At the start of this stage, you are being put in the one-hit KO state, meaning to say that if you make even the slightest mistake, it will result in a wipe. In order to pass this stage, you need to learn and be familiar with all of Wendy's attack patterns, then learn how to time your dodge in response to these attacks, which is really the hardest part. Wendy has a total of 6 different attacks: the 2-hit melee combo, Wind Gush, Vortex, Shurikens, Tornado, and the converging wind things, I don't know. Anyway, out of these 6 attack patterns, only 2 of them are extremely frustrating to deal with: the 2-hit melee combo and the shurikens. The rest are very predictable and can be avoided easily. For the 2-hit melee combo, doesn't it always feel that it gives you too little time to react? While it may be true, Wendy actually gives out a foreboding sign when she's about to use it. Check out this clip. She will do a backflip before every 2-hit melee combo. Right here. Do you see that? She always do this backflip right before a melee combo without fail. And once you see this, you should stop chasing after her and start playing on the defensive if you want to avoid this attack. That's the only way to do it. You can't really react on the spot because it just gives you too little reaction time. But if you know of this trick, you can avoid it every single time. Simple, right? Next one is the shurikens. Oh my god, this is a pain in the ass. This is the hardest attack to avoid, and it's even harder if you do happen to trigger your time fracture of the first 2 shurikens, because this entirely throws your tempo off. Okay, so in order to dodge the shurikens, when you see the first shuriken appear behind Wendy, say this: 1002. Right after you finish saying 2, press the dodge button and chances are you would have dodged it. Same goes for the second and third shurikens after the previous one hits the ground. Say 1002 and press the dodge button again. Use 2 dodges if you have to, but if you do, stop going after Wendy and back off to a safe distance. This is because after using 2 dashes consecutively in quick succession, you are put into a vulnerable state for about a second or so, during which time you are unable to perform any more dodges, so keep that in mind. Another thing to note is that use your Demon Blade's active skill to your advantage. For the duration you are performing the skill, you are invulnerable, and for the 5 seconds after which, you can completely block off 1 attack. So if you manage to dodge the first shuriken and have your weapon skill active, use the active right before Wendy uses her second shuriken. The effect will keep you protected for the second and third shurikens, but if the skill is on cooldown, you're on your own. There are 2 other of Wendy attacks that you should be careful of, but they are nowhere near as dangerous as the first 2. For the Wind Gush attack, Wendy sends off a warning before she performs this. If you see her on screen, she will perform a sidestep. That's a very obvious sign to look out for. The other one is a Vortex. We're gonna use the same method as the shurikens, but this time, we're gonna count 1000, 2000, 3. Upon saying 3, press the dodge button and you should be fine. Use 2 dashes if you have to, except that there's no danger here, unlike for the shurikens. Alright, I hope I covered everything you needed to know. Okay, before I leave you with the rest of the video, I just want to share some final tips and tricks. Don't give in to the temptation to squeeze in a few greedy hits when you know it's risky. Always play on the safe side. It's a bit slower, but at least you have a higher chance of completing the stage. Alright, that's all from me. Enjoy the rest of the video.